Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to our special Shakur Stevenson versus Artem Harutyunyan live post-fight show. I'm the Fighters Rep Fez alongside the legendary, the Richmond Heights legend, Gary Ain't It Behavior. Gary, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Let me tell you, man, that was an eventful night. An eventful night.
The last two fights, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, what sticks out to me though is the absolute disgrace that happened to Oshaki Foster, man. Just disgusting. Yeah. And I'm just gonna start this post-fight show off by saying,
wait. Hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you, George.
Go ahead.
Before we get, I know we're gonna turn up about the robbery, about Shakur Stevenson, but we got to give the younger guys some credit too.
We're gonna head there.
Start with them, and then we can go.
We're gonna head there for sure. We'll start with Abdullah Mason, but what I wanted to say, I really want to get this across, right? Because I don't like injustice. I don't like bullshit.
I already know we're gonna get into it.
That was the most terrible fucking decision that I think I've ever seen in my life.
I'm not gonna get into it right yet. Not yet.
Abdullah Mason. Not
yet. I know your blood's boiling, George. I know it's boiling.
God. I'm gonna end up dying at like 60, bro. I'm not gonna make it past 50 or 60.
All right. So okay.
God.
Abdullah Mason. What you thought about that fight?
Okay. Well, what we're not going to say is Abdullah because it's.
I know I know how they said it, but it's a you though.
I like to mess with people that say Abdullah, but yeah, Abdullah Mason. He fought. I think the guy was from Puerto Rico, Louis LeBron. The guy is a veteran fighter, 30-something years old. This was supposed to be a test for Mason. But my goodness, I mean, he wiped his ass with the exam on this one because that was just, I mean, my goodness, he's now, what is he, 14-0 now with 12 knockouts?
I think 13, isn't it? 13 now?
Well, he was.
No, 13, is it 13-0 with 12 knockouts or something like that?
Yeah. So after today, 14-0, 12 knockouts.
Oh, 12. Okay. Yeah.
So that's really impressive. The kid is the kid's got everything, man. I mean, he looks like he's got everything, but obviously we want to see him in there with stiffer competition to really be able to evaluate him. But my goodness, does he look good, Gary? He looks good, man.
I've been watching him fight after fight, and this kid is the next one, in my opinion. Like, I like Keyshawn Davis too, but I think he's better than Keyshawn. I know Keyshawn is ahead of him. I think he's better than Keyshawn.
Wow.
And I think he's the next thing smoking. Like, I think he's special. But like you said, he has to prove it. He has to get some more fights. The kid is humble. The kid, I'm not saying you got to be humble, but the kid is just like, he's focused. You can tell he's laser focused.
Gary, let's encourage Gary, let's stop encouraging the assholeness and the conceitedness. Let's encourage the humble thing, Gary, because
no.
Listen, we still have to make an entire episode about this whole Ryan Garcia situation, because I'm just going to throw this in there about the Ryan Garcia situation, and we're going to go back to Abdullah Mason because he's the one that deserves our attention, not shitbag Ryan Garcia. It took this guy going on a crazy over-the-top racist rant for the world to realize that his character right now is not very good. And I've been sounding the alarms on this shit, man. We've been sounding the alarms on this channel. I've been sounding the alarms on this, and people on all the forums been kissing his ass and defending him, and showbiz Showbiz the adult is always talking about how he didn't do it. It was unintentional PED use, and even they. No, bro.
George,
let me complete the thought.
Let me know. No, bring this back in, George. I do not want to make this about him on this night. We got to talk about fights, bro.
You're right.
I don't want to talk about him right now. We'll do a whole nother video about him, and we can get it off our chest. This ain't the night. Now I want to talk. I want to talk
like
about
all over my chest. It's all over my chest. We're
gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But I want to talk about
now I got him here, and I got Oshaki getting ripped off on this side, and I don't know what to do.
We got to talk about that first. That shit we'll deal with later. But Abdullah Mason. Yeah. I just think the kid is special. The kid is on his way to being next. Like I said, I like Keyshawn. I think Keyshawn's special, but I think Mason is better than Keyshawn after all the fights I've seen him. I think he hits harder than Keyshawn. I think Keyshawn wins. Keyshawn hits hard, but it's more like an Errol Spence beat you on attrition. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna beat you up, and that's kind of his style. He beat you up. Now I did see a chink in his armor. He needs to get some cardio, man. He looked tired after the 5th round, and he says he wants to fight Tank.
I thought
Tank will do the same thing he did to Martin to you, because you got your gas tank your legs stop moving. You start to get tired in there.
No. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna have to disagree with you on, man.
All right, go ahead.
I mean that guy Madueño was putting. I think it's Miguel Madueño was putting. That guy was putting so much pressure on Keyshawn Davis. That guy was so big and so strong, and if that guy had any sort of boxing skills, that guy would be unbeatable, because that guy got hit with every shot in the book. He got hit with shots he didn't see coming over and over again, and somehow kept walking forward. And, the only point, this is what I'm going to disagree with you on. The only point I saw Keyshawn maybe show that he was a little bit tired, at least in my opinion, was in the 8th round, because the rest of the fight, I felt like he wasn't given an inch mentally. I felt like he wasn't really given an inch physically. I felt like he was moving back, but looking to punish him with shots that he wouldn't see coming. And I thought that was a fantastic performance by Keyshawn.
Well, the thing you gotta look at, George, if you look at the earlier rounds, I want to say like the first 3, maybe a little bit in the 4th, he was moving around a lot. Moving around,
Keyshawn?
Keyshawn doing the same thing that Frank Martin was doing against Tank. Moving a lot. And I could tell like 4th, 5th, he slowed down some more. Then after the 5th, he was barely moving around. He was in there and he was throwing shots. Listen, he was throwing shots, and he thought he was going to get him out of there with those shots. He couldn't get it.
I'm not seeing it.
Wait. He thought he was going to get him out of there with them shots, and he started letting them off. And yes, he had a great chin. Bro. And he was taking it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying but then you start Keyshawn, even Tim Bradley was saying it, but I didn't need Tim Bradley to tell me that. I can see it. When you start holding on and not letting go, you like trying to catch your breath, you start falling on the ground. If you look at when they tussled and Keyshawn was on the ground a lot more often than he is. He's on the ground getting up. He was getting up slower and slower because he was getting worn down. And you can see he started throwing less shots throughout the rounds. And that's the thing you look at. But I will say it's a learning lesson. He even said it after the fight. If you listen to the interview, he said, some things I got to work on. I take some things in this fight. It was the cardio. He had never been that many rounds. He had never been in there with a pressure fighter that was going to push him like that all 10 rounds and take everything he got all 10 rounds. It was a good learning experience. I'm glad he got it now, because I think it makes him better now. And it prepares him from guys like Tank. Because what if that was 12 rounds?
I just didn't see a problem with his cardio there. I thought he closed the show strong. I thought, if anything, if there was a slight lesser, amount of movement as the fight wore on, it's because, he didn't really have to move that much. I mean, he was good enough with his upper body movement and just moving the guy side to side and, you know, playing Matador with him, that he
Okay,
didn't
so
really
why
have
did the
to.
ref? So why did the ref have to tell them, hey, when I say let go, let go, let go, let go? Like they both were holding, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a great tactic by the guy trying to lean on him, not let him go and lean on him. But
Yeah.
Keyshawn also, even Tim Bradley was like, Keyshawn pulled him down to the ground one time so he can get a break.
Yeah.
And you start seeing the energy level. Just look at the energy level of the fighter. If you look at the energy level of him, it was dying down, bro.
Yeah, but
I'm not even talking about just the movement, George. I'm talking about the punch output. The punch output that he gave was getting less.
I'm just not super. I mean, if you mean to tell me, right, that was a poor performance.
No, it was a good performance.
Well, with regards to cardio, I mean, you know, here's the thing. What other guy is going to be that big? First off, I thought he closed the show well, and I didn't think it was terrible. It was a bad cardio performance.
No, it was a good fight.
What other guy is going to be that big, eat punches like that, and come forward the entire fight like that? And it was still, I mean, it was a complete wash. I mean, it was a complete wash. You know what I mean?
I never said
if he would have been like struggling to breathe at the end, I'd have been like, okay, I would agree with you. But it's boxing. It's a tiring sport. Nobody's gonna go 12 rounds like it's nothing.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
Except for that guy Claggett that fought Teofimo Lopez last week.
Hey, listen, I'll give you different examples, but what I'm saying is I'm not saying it was a bad fight for him. I thought it was a very good fight. I thought he showed composure, even though I felt he got tired. I felt he showed a very mature champion heart, and he showed like I'm getting worn down, but he kept going. I thought it was a good fight for him. I thought it was a good learning experience. All I'm saying is slow down with some of the calling out of Tank, because if that was Tank in there, that wouldn't have went that way.
But Tank is also not going to put that pressure, have that weight. And
all he
that
put that pressure on.
Guy.
He did the same. Tank did the same thing. Frank Martin. Frank Martin was an athletic guy. He even said during the fight, "Oh, he got some power." He made him gas himself out, and you know he gassed himself out, and then he went. And same thing with Keyshawn. Around round 5, he started slowing down all that movement, and that's what Tank wants. And all Tank is looking for is a. So all I'm saying with Keyshawn is, he needed this experience. This is now he knows. And that's the reason why people protect fighters from doing certain things, saying, nah, not yet. Because even Tank told Frank Martin when he fought him, hey, slow. He told him, you took the fight too early because you needed more seasoning. And Keyshawn, all I'm saying is Keyshawn needs a little bit more seasoning, leave it in the oven a little bit longer. Get a little on a grill since I'm grilling. I sent you the ribs.
The gyro sauce. Yeah, we gotta put the gyro sauce up. No, again,
a little more.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a good experience for him. He's gonna get better, you know. But I wouldn't say I thought his cardio was lacking. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. If you
need to be a little better.
If you think that, that's on you. I mean, anybody can be better at anything, but I didn't think it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't.
I'm just saying, was Karen tired after running around the ring all the time against Boots? He ran around the ring. He was tired.
Right. But he didn't throw any punches. He just ran around the whole time. He threw like one punch over the course of 12 rounds. That doesn't count.
That's all I'm saying is guys because imagine if he fights Pitbull. Pitbull ain't gonna get tired.
Yeah, that's true.
And Pitbull gonna take punches, and he's gonna be throwing haymakers at you. So you know, hey, but anyways, now we're gonna get what's on your heart. What's really on your heart is robbery. Let's get to the robbery. Okay.
Bro, that's the worst, Gary. That's the worst shit I ever seen in my life, Gary. I mean, you were trying to. I said, Gary, what the hell is happening right now? Am I like, did somebody slip mushrooms into my dinner? Like, am I hallucinating? Like, what the hell did I just watch? I watched Oshaki Foster dominate this man. Like, this was a domination of the highest order. Like, this was a domination. Like, this was like when, you know, your uncle took you to the basketball court for the first time in your life, and he just fucking destroyed you just to teach you how to play basketball. I mean, that's how bad it was. I mean, I can't explain it for the life of me what happened here. How did these judges, right, who saw Keyshawn win that fight so dominantly and also saw Shakur win the fight later so dominantly, see Oshaki Foster lose in the fight? I mean, what?
Hey,
Gary,
you got to check their bank accounts. You got to check if they got a new car, a new woman, something. If you see them with another woman tomorrow, you need to know what's up, bro.
You need to go to their hotel room immediately after the fight, bro, and see what kind of baddies are in there and who paid for them, because I've never.
I mean, it was a horrible decision. And
no, you're way underplaying it by calling it a horrible decision. It was so bad that I said, Gary, via text message, I told Gary, I don't think I've ever seen anything this bad. And then Gary had to scour through boxing history.
No, I did not. It's up here.
And reach back into the 90s. Well, I'm saying in his big ass head, he had to scour through boxing history and reach back into like the 90s and shit to try to look for a fight that could be comparable as far as a robbery goes. And even the fights you brought up, you know, they're like high stakes fights. They were robberies. But I mean, this was such a domination. I mean, this could have been 12-0 and nobody would have batted an eye for Oshaki Foster.
Yeah. No, I mean, the first thing that stuck out with me is him after the fight, the way the guy had tears in his eyes, voice cracking. His trainer had to say something. Like, because he was like, what? This dude didn't touch me. When did he hit me? I was hitting him. Now, I'm not going to say it's the most entertaining fight. No. But clearly, he dominated every round, in my opinion. And it was kind of like, and to me, the reason why I was bringing up other fights is you said ever, and the first fight that, because I always get, it might be ever. I always get mad about this fight was Chavez versus Pernell Whitaker, because he beat the shit out of Chavez. I don't care what anybody says. They called it a draw. So that was the first thing. The second thing was Roy Jones, but I was like, well, that wasn't pro. That was Olympics. So, because Roy Jones got robbed there, but it was Olympics. It wasn't pro. But those are the first two that came to mind. But then I started thinking, and I'm like, Lennox Lewis against Evander Holyfield, which at first when I was young, I was like, I thought Evander Holyfield was in that fight. But then I rewatched it as I got older and kind of knew a little bit more. I was like, oh, yeah, that was pretty bad. And you look at the numbers, Lennox Lewis landed 200 more punches than Holyfield in that fight. So I don't know how they called the draw. Then I remember the Tim Bradley Pacquiao fight. That was pretty bad because I don't think anybody, they even had judges relook at that fight to rescore it, and that was bad. And I thought about, damn, Pacquiao got robbed against Horn too, because I thought that was a horrible call too. Yeah, I don't know if it's to this level, but I mean it was. I don't know.
You don't even know if it's to this level. That's how bad this shit was.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and join the channel. That's how you help us build, by joining and becoming a member. It's just $9.99 a month. Me and Gary are going to be doing this every week, sometimes multiple times, Mondays and Thursdays. And of course, tickets to Fighters Rep 25 and 26 are now on sale. Get them at FightersRep.com. But if you can't make it, the only way to watch is to join the channel. Please join, help us continue to build not only this podcast that we're doing, but also a full-fledged kickboxing promotion, which is what we got going on here at Fighters Rep, featuring some of the best young fighters. Gary, I'm just in shock, man. I mean, I think even with the Chavez Whitaker fight, I mean, you could give Chavez 2-3 rounds, bro. You can give Chavez 3 rounds, maybe. Bro, we're talking about. I mean, this was
completely a wash.
I mean, the broadcaster gave Conceição 1 round, bro. and what's amazing is the same broadcaster scored the same score for Shakur versus Artem.
Yeah.
And one of the judges saw it the same as 119-109. The broadcaster, I believe, scored the same thing for O'Shaquie Foster.
Yeah, he did.
119-109. But somehow, I don't know in what, I mean. So that
this is my thing is I gotta judge your character as a man. You were in there and you know you didn't win that fight. To celebrate, have people holding you up and cry and say all this.
Killing you.
How
this
can
is
you
what's been
possibly,
killing you.
as a man, know that you were in this fight and got your ass kicked? And you're celebrating because some idiots out there said you won. Nobody else think you won.
Yeah.
It will be questioned. Even Tim Bradley after the Pacquiao was like, well, I have to go watch the tape and see really what, because he knew he didn't win that fight.
Yeah.
And my thing is, when you don't win you know your face was beat up. His face was clean. He had one scratch from a headbutt or something. You know what it is. And it's just, as a man, I could never sit up there. I'd be like, nah, I didn't win this fight. I lost it. I mean, I want to do it again, but I lost it. I didn't win this fight. And that's just the craziest part to me, that you can celebrate a victory that absolutely know you didn't win. The world knows you didn't win that. And I hate it when boxers do that. And not just boxers, fighters, period. They get a win and they brag about it like they and they try to come up with reasons in their head why they won or why it was a draw.
So I don't know if you remember, but I was watching it, and I was just like, oh, this is a wash. This is going to be a shutout. I got up, I don't know, to fix myself a drink or something. I was looking at the TV, and you know how they split the screen in half when they're reading the decision?
Yeah.
So I saw them like place like the Brazilian flag over Conceição or whatever, and they're all like behind him. And I thought to myself, I swear to God, Gary, I said I would have been like, man, get off of me, man. I just lost this shit. I'd be like, that's what I was thinking in my head. Like, stop trying to I would have been like, stop trying to cheer me on, man. Like, I just got my ass whooped in front of 1 million people. It was, I don't know, I think he's tried to win a title before and came up short or something like that. So,
I can't win it like that though,
bro. So that's what I think that made it worse for me, right? Because I played that sometimes you play these hypothetical scenarios in your head, and I was saying to myself, man, if that was me, if they came and covered me up on my flag and they were all hugging on me, I would have been like, man, get off me, man. Like, I just got destroyed. And then for them to read the score that way,
when they said split decision, when I first heard split decision, I was like, they really gave us a split decision, bro, and I still thought he won. I'm like, they really gave it a split decision.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, at least he still won.
Me too.
And then it was like, what the?
At least he still won. Oh, at least I was thinking the same thing. Hey, at least he still won.
That was crazy, though. That was crazy.
God. Oh, Gary, and then fuck, man, I felt so bad for O'Shaquie, man. Did you see him? Like, his eyes were watering. Like, I don't know if the dude was on the verge of crying.
Kill the judges. Give me the knife.
I was like, bro, what, bro? Like, what are we talking about here? And then the trainer, I love that the trainer was like, he didn't even touch him, Mark. Like, what are we talking about? And Mark Kriegel was like, hey, I saw the same fight you guys saw.
That was just crazy.
Listen, that was, I want to congratulate the judges.
On what?
I want to congratulate the judges, Gary. Before I ask you this next question, judges for that fight, I want to congratulate you guys. on the worst scored fight in my entire history of not just watching boxing. That may be the worst scored fight I've ever seen in all combat sports. And
It was pretty bad.
And I'm a kickboxing promoter, and I see, all I do is see fights. And this might have been, I just have to congratulate you guys. I don't know how you guys managed it, guys or girls. I don't know who it was. But really, I mean, congratulations, because your inability to judge that fight was fucking impressive. I mean, that was so bad. Gary, that was so bad. I'm impressed. I'm flabbergasted, Gary, how bad that was.
Hey, let me tell you something. I literally think when you have fights like this, I think that it should be rejudged by other people, not change the outcome of the fight, because obviously that comes into play with other things. But when it gets rejudged, and like how they do at the NBA, when the last couple minutes and they give you a report of everything that was wrong.
Yeah.
If you score a certain score, they should take your pay, some of your pay. I'm just sorry. They should take some of your pay, because that was just bullshit. That was a piece of shit decision and everything. I just
Gary, I want to hit somebody with a baseball bat, bro, after watching that shit. That shit was so sad to watch. And I don't know, man. I like Oshaki Foster. He's down there in Texas. Derek Collinsworth put me on him a while back. Man, he looked so damn good.
But this is why I stress to you, and you know, with certain fights, man, when you know you're so much better than a fighter, put your foot on the gas, man. And to me, that's gonna lead us into the Shakur Stevenson fight.
Well, but not yet, right? Not yet, because first off, fuck you for saying that, because that's the judge's fault, bro. This guy could have done whatever he wanted.
Yeah, but don't leave it in the hands, bro. If you're that much better, get the guy out of there, man. Get the guy out of there, because you can't count on people to be fucking smart individuals or honest individuals or whatever. You can't count on that. Get that guy out of there.
But
putting a beating on that guy.
But Gary, that was so extreme, Gary. That was so extreme.
I don't care. You cannot rely. What have you always told me, George? Man, I can't rely on people.
I say
you can't rely on people. You know what you can rely on? A knockout.
I say it all.
There you go.
I need to ask you a question though, related to this fight. I still got to get a little bit more. I still got a little bit more of shock on my chest. You like that one, right? I'm here all night, ladies and gentlemen. So you mentioned something about you're saying, put it on the gas, put the foot on the gas or whatever. And I think you mentioned something about it wasn't entertaining, right? They're kind of like booing him and stuff.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, it's inconsistent because that even happened in the Shakur fight again. But my question to you is, was Oshaki Foster punished? Was he punished in this fight for being too slick and too defensive? Was he punished?
I mean, of course. This is my thing is, of course, unless they were paid off to do something, I don't know. But of course, because it was a boring fight, because he was defensive and everything. But like you said, the only reason why I'm looking at are you paid off? Because Shakur did the same thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Shakur started walking. Shakur was the one walking towards
Artem.
Towards Artem, and trying to engage into a combat, even though I got my thoughts about that. But yeah, of course that's what it was. Unless you want to say paid off or whatever, which we will never know. We got to go to their rooms.
I just don't get it though. Why was he punished and Shakur wasn't? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, but that's not the way you score a fight.
Well, let's get into the Shakur fight though. Let's get into the Shakur fight so we can talk about it. So the Shakur fight is how I felt was, I don't think he was punished as much because Shakur was actually walking down, the one stalking. Because they gave the credit in the Osaki fight because he was the aggressor. That's what he tried to say at the end. I was the aggressor, whatever. Shakur was the aggressor. Shakur started walking down. Shakur started hitting him. Shakur started doing things. But I still feel like even though Shakur was walking down, it was almost similar to what Tank did to Frank Martin, but eventually Tank started opening up around the fifth. He started letting his hands go more. He started really trying to punish the guy. To me, Shakur kept walking him down, making him expend energy, but wasn't really letting his hands go. Yeah. He was being defensively responsible. And you know, I'm a Shakur guy. He was being defensively responsible, but he at some point, if you're calling a guy saying the guy's an amateur, that you're a pro, he's an amateur, show us. Because if a pro in any other sport is playing an amateur, they're gonna start turning it up, and they're gonna start really turning it up, not really worrying about it. And you were walking them down, but you weren't letting your hands go when you did get in close. And Artem, he started moving around the ring at a certain point. At a certain point, I thought Shakur was gonna get him out of there. When Shakur was like, he's going. He thought he had him, and he started moving around. But then round like 9 to 12, he stopped moving around.
Yeah.
So that was your chance to get him out of there. He wasn't moving around as much. So you can't blame it on, was he throwing as much as he was early on? Nah. But and you know, Shakur just tried to walk him down and just throw. He didn't try to throw no jab to get inside. He didn't try to do anything to, different like a jab, because he has a good jab. The jab was landing earlier. But I just felt like he just sat there and was waiting for the perfect punch. You're not a one-shot knockout artist. You got to put them together. Make them stop the fight. Get a TKO, something like that. You can't just sit back there and throw 1-2 shots or whatever. Start picking up the pace. And the problem I had with him is he was arguing with his grandfather, who was telling him, yo, pick up the pace. He's like, I'm winning. Like, we know you're winning. Pick up the pace, man. You want these big fights? Make the fans push for it. Fans ain't gonna push for it with you fighting like that. But you tell me what you think.
First off, shout out Hybrid25 Us. Appreciate you being here. Subscribe if you haven't already. It says Shakur got away from using his jab. He has an underrated jab. His jab always sets his combinations up, and I agree with that. I think his grandpa was trying to get him to do that. I think he was, and obviously in the broadcast, I think they were saying to do that as well. What I thought was, going into this fight, I felt like Shakur needed to put on a big performance because the last one turned a lot of people off. You know what I mean? And we had the excuse about the injuries and the hands and the fingers and the shoulder and everything else, but, boxing is a what have you done for me lately sport. And so people saw that from you in your most recent fight, Shakur, and you need to go out there and you need to get a guy like this out of there. I mean, I'm not saying Artem is a bad fighter by any means. I think he's actually very good. But if you have the chance to get the guy out of there, right, then you need to be getting him out of there. And I believe Artem, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he go to a decision and lose against Frank Martin? Or did Frank Martin?
Yeah. Which a lot of people thought that Artem was winning. Right. Until he had to take a knee.
Right. He had to take it. Well, he had to take a knee against Frank Martin.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So I thought this was, if I'm being honest, man, I didn't like what the promoter did here. I'll even go as far as to say I thought Top Rank did Shakur a little bit dirty, right? Oh, let me explain, right? Let me explain. It's just a matter of opinion. And I'll explain why I think Top Rank did him a little bit dirty here, right? Because, he's coming off of this very lackluster performance. He's got to have a big performance. The narrative after that performance and going into this one is, should you really get these big fights? Because you're kind of boring. You know what I mean? You're not really finishing the job. You're not really getting people excited. I think they offered him $15 million for 5 years or something like that. He refused it. I think they kind of did him dirty in that they further exacerbated that whole narrative, right? Because I don't know if you noticed, Gary, and I thought this was really ugly. As the fight was ending, and I hear what Timothy Bradley is saying. You know, I mean, you could hear it over and over again. He kept saying, "Man, he's got to get a guy like," basically saying he's got to get this guy out of there, right? You should put your foot on the gas, get this guy out of there. They panned the camera, Gary, to the stands, and people are walking out of the stadium, Gary. I mean, I don't I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the authenticity from Top Rank in showing me that people are so
ESPN.
Yeah. In showing me that people are so bored with this fight that they're just gonna go and get a cheeseburger or whatever. They're just gonna go home. You know? But
you can't put that all on them.
But what bothers me is this is your fighter. This kid is a world-class talent. You're supposed to be trying to build this kid up. And, you know, you don't want him to come off as a fighter that isn't exciting. That's not what you want, right? But you're showing, you know, you're hearing what Timothy Bradley is saying, and then the camera's panning to the audience leaving. And I just thought this is a bad look for Shakur Stevenson. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's the thing is you can't put that on the promotion because the fans booing. Wait. Let me finish. The fans booing. They can't edit that out. You know, they can't go and say, "Hey, I'm gonna take the fans booing out."
I forgot that part.
Which are your fans? They're booing, and you know they got to deal with ESPN. I don't think Bob Arum came and said, "Hey, pan to the people walking out of the stadium."
No, but Gary,
you know,
Gary, Gary, that's not what. Okay, so you're the promoter in Top Rank, and you have a broadcast deal with ESPN, and you're trying to sell this. You're trying to sell this guy. You know, sell the guy. Like, don't sell the guy out. You're selling the guy out.
Okay, you know, but here's the thing is, we don't have a deal after this fight, for one. We don't have a deal. And then ESPN is in charge of the coverage. So ESPN feels like, hey, we have to give a real fair analysis. We can't be too over. You know, we can hear people can hear the fans booing. You can see the fight.
But that I need to see. Wait a minute. So we don't have a deal. Gary, we don't have a deal after this fight, and I need to see people walk. I mean, do I need to see people?
I mean, do you need to hear people booing? Your fans booing?
Bro, I did.
They're gonna boo. What do you want ESPN to do? What do you want, George? What do you want ESPN to do? Do you want ESPN to mute?
I want them
to mute the volume of people booing?
No,
come on,
Gary.
And even after the fight, wait. Do you want the people interviewing post-fight saying, well, how did you feel about do you not want them to ask really subjective questions and saying, hey, you heard the fans booing in there. You heard people this, that. How do you feel about that? You know what I'm saying? They have to ask these questions. They have to be somewhat subjective. Yeah, you signed with me. But, I mean, it was a boring fight. You didn't get the guy out of there. We set it up, and they gave you a guy. To me, this is the perfect opponent for them to give you, because here it is. You have Tank just fought Frank Martin, knocked him out 8 rounds. This is the guy who gave Frank Martin hell. So I'm gonna put you up against him, so you can then say, hey, this you can kind of compare. But guess what? Frank Martin at least made the guy take a knee. You didn't even make the guy take a knee.
Yeah. And
you say Frank Martin is an amateur too. You can't keep calling people amateurs and then do less than what they did in the fight. I mean, I can say less because he did watch the guy. Frank Martin was in a back and forth with the guy. But I'm just saying, you have to, and I'm a Shakur fan. I have Shakur beating Tank, but I have to be honest, like I did with Devin Haney when he fought Regis. And I said he should have got him out of there. He dominated the fight. You got to put on the gas. I said Tio won that fight pretty handily, in my opinion. But I said it was a boring fight. I can't give you no slack. I
Yeah.
can't.
But Gary,
and I said, don't do it to you. They're setting you up. Don't do it to you. Did I not say that last podcast?
Yeah, you did. But Gary, by the way, great job on that. But Gary, did they need to pan to the crowd walking out of the stadium? You're telling me that's not a little dirty? That's not a little dirty?
If Bob Arum called them and said, hey, pan, yeah. But I doubt he did that. But we got hybrid 25.
He says the Shakur against Nakatani win was a beautiful performance. The last two fights have not looked good for him, in my opinion. Shakur is one of my favorite fighters too. Bad look for him. My thing though is I've seen a million boring fights, Gary. Let me tell you what it's bringing me back to, and it's interesting that Terrence Crawford was in the audience. And, he's a mentor, I guess you can say, for Shakur Stevenson. It bothered me that they panned to the people walking out because I've watched a million boring fights in my life, and I've never seen that.
I've seen that.
I've never seen that. Gary, they were focusing on people leaving.
Wait a minute.
And the whole end of the relationship, and and then Terrence Crawford being there, it made me think about how Top Rank also decided to let go of Terrence Crawford. Remember, because they said, well, the reasoning was, he can't even promote. He doesn't promote himself. He's not, he's not marketable.
But that was a valid reason, though. I'm not saying. Here's the thing is, George.
I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying you don't got to do all that, bro.
No. Here's the thing is,
I don't need to see the fans leaving. It wasn't one angle, too. I mean, they got one angle, and then they shifted it, and then they got another angle. I was like, bro, they are doing this guy dirty right now.
And we're going to talk about Terrence Crawford, right?
Look what Hybrid says. They didn't have to point to the fans leaving. They did him dirty. I'm telling you, Gary. Listen, that's on you. Here's the thing is, you say, Top Rank split from Bud Crawford because they say he doesn't want to promote himself. Yeah. Part of the job is promoting yourself. I hate when athletes feel like, I just got to go in there and do my job. No, you get paid a lot of money. Your job is to promote. Right. Even Boots says he's an introvert. He wouldn't even have Twitter if it wasn't for boxing. Yeah. But he knows you have to do certain things. And so as long as you have that understanding, you have to promote yourself. You may have to do things that's outside of what you normally are. But then you want to complain when you're not getting the fight you want, the money you want, or whatever. You can't complain if you don't want to sell yourself, because it's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business and it's a profession. And even Shakur said, Gary, obviously,
listen, Shakur literally said on Twitter, this is why I don't listen to fans. I don't care if they think it's a boring fight. I'm going to do what I got to do to win. Yeah. So basically, the people who are paying you to put money in your pocket, you don't care. Tim Bradley said on the telecast, hey, sometimes you gotta step on the gas, because even though it is still a job of entertainment, that's how you get paid, bro. So you gotta get a guy out of there.
So I like that you're doing this, because this also brings me to Shakur's attitude. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like the attitude that he's showing in what you're saying, right? And I definitely didn't like the way he was talking back to his grandpa. I thought that was wrong. And it could be a thing, Gary, where this is karma, but it could also be Top Rank maybe trying to teach this kid a bit of a lesson, right? Or maybe ESPN, by panning to the crowd leaving and really focusing on this kid's kind of inability to entertain in these last couple fights. Now, I do think it's a little bit unfair because it's only 2 fights, and it also conveniently is at the end of his contract. But I do think that there needs to be a little bit more humility, perhaps, on his part, and a little bit more awareness as to marketing yourself, because you mentioned it's a business. I mean, nobody knows that better than us here, right? I mean, we have our own kickboxing promotion right here. So
and my thing is that when you look at, I'm not gonna say humility, because I really felt I really did feel like he was frustrated. That's why he was going back and forth with his grandfather, because he really wanted to get the guy out after all saying, "I'm gonna punish and this, that." But
not a good look either.
His grandfather was giving him great advice
when
he started saying, hit him in the body, punch him directly in the middle of the chest, don't aim here and do this, let your hands go. And it was almost like he felt like his grandfather was parroting what the fans were saying. He's like, you acting like I ain't winning. I'm winning. And I'm winning. He's like, yeah, I know, but let's get the guy out of, because the grandfather just seen Osaki get robbed. He's like, dude, let's not do this. Let's get this. Yeah. We already shown that we're levels above this guy. He's like, oh, he's an amateur. He's an amateur. I'm a pro. I'm gonna get him out. Don't worry. It's like, stop, dude. Just listen. And I think that he was so focused on putting on a performance where he stopped the guy, and he was getting, I thought he got really frustrated. I thought the frustration got into him and he stopped listening. I don't think it was an ego thing. I think it was a frustration thing. I think he was just so pissed off that he couldn't get him out of there. But that's also on him. You got to be able to take more risk. Once you know a guy's not on your level, take more risk. Because the really great ones, once they see like, all right, he ain't on my level, even Floyd, Andre Ward, Bud, all right, let's start getting this guy out of here. You see Tank with Frank. Okay, let's get this guy up out of here. I'm gonna beat him to death and he's gonna get out of here, or I'm gonna knock him out with one shot. Yeah. And I just felt like Shakur wasn't putting enough combinations together like he wanted to do it.
Yeah. I do think, you mentioned frustration. I also think it's an ego thing. I do think he needs to do better in communicating and accepting the advice from his grandfather. Because, if that's the guy that got you here and he's done a pretty good job, why not listen to him? He's obviously looking out for you. Maybe your grandfather wanted you to go out there and finish the fight and end this contract with some leverage, right? Now what leverage do you have? I mean, you closed out your contract, a decision against the guy Frank Martin dropped in a close fight, and the crowd was booing and walking out. And let me tell you something, Gary. What I remember the most from that fight is people's backs going up that aisle, walking the fuck out. That's what I remember the most from that fight. It's crazy. I mean, because I just felt like there was so much focus on that. Hybrid 25 Us says, the crowd was booing Shakur. Fighters get booed all the time, but come on, bro. Show the fans leaving. That's a low blow from Top Rank.
I've seen that before, though. It's not like that never happened before.
When have you seen that? When?
You want me off the top of my mind right now?
Yes.
To name the exact fight.
I've never seen the broadcast.
I've seen that.
I've never seen the broadcast look up in a boxing match, Gary. I mean, maybe football, right? Football and basketball, you'll see these fucking, especially with the Miami fans we got, they're the worst. They always want to leave when our team isn't winning. I've seen them pan up and do that, but
I've seen it in boxing.
Boxing match, bro?
I've seen it in boxing.
Tell me.
So is it a low blow when the broadcasting team comes to a fighter after the fight and says, hey, they were booing. It wasn't at your last fight.
I don't think that's a low blow. I don't think that's a low blow because that's obvious. Everybody
they're with the same promotion. With the company and promotion, why even talk about it? You don't have to.
Okay, but look, the booing is obvious. Everybody's going to hear it. Right. And that happens in the UFC. That happens in boxing when there's not a lot of activity. That just happens. People want to see, guys get in there and destroy each other right away and knock each other silly. That's what people want to see. And of course, the post-fight guys are always going to ask the real questions. Did you think you won that fight? Do you not think you won that fight? Did you think you could have put him away? I mean, that's the questions they ask. That's very typical. That's very typical. But I think when you combine it, Gary, I'm just combining it here with the fact that this thing is coming to an end as far as a relationship, with the fact that he talked about, he didn't give a shit really about whether he entertains the fans or not. He just wants to win. When you combine it with Tim Bradley over and over saying this guy's got to put his foot on the gas, and then when you add in, man, multiple clips, it wasn't one, multiple clips of people getting up and walking the fuck out to go home. It's just a very ugly, Gary, it's an ugly scene. He's going to go to that negotiating table now, and they're going to say, well, instead of 15, what about 12?
Okay, so what I'm telling you is
10 and a half.
Okay, so you're putting it all on the promotion, showing people walk out. We all seen the fight, regardless if you didn't show people walk out. We seen that fight. We seen what you did in the ring, and we seen your attitude. If you're a promoter, George, because you're a promoter now. Yeah, I see it. But listen, if you're a promoter, do you want to invest? Wait.
People leaving.
Hold on, shut the fuck up real quick. If you're a promoter, you're a promoter, and you hear a guy tell you, well, I don't really care about entertaining the fans. I don't care about entertaining the fans and all this, right? Are you then coming to the negotiation table saying, hey, I'm going to give you a bunch of money? Because I already know you don't care about entertaining the fans.
Right.
You care about winning, but you got to understand it's a symbiotic relationship. Like, I understand you want to go ahead and, win and fight. Yeah, but at the same time, if I'm promoting you and you want me to help you, you got to help me. Because I want to make money. I ain't in this business to lose money.
Hey, you busted that word out of Killian high school biology class. I haven't heard that shit that long.
But we need each other. We need each other. So you need to do things. You need to do things too. So if I know this guy's unwilling to help me make money and he only cares about fighting, I care about, if I'm the promoter, I care about money. Help me, help you, and you help me. But if you don't really care about that, you already lost leverage at the negotiating table.
I agree.
Because you just let me know that you don't care about me making money.
Yeah.
But you're gonna ask for money. And my thing is not even just asking for money. If you want the big fights, right? You have to make the fans say they want to see that person fight you.
Yeah. No.
And if the fans are disappointed with your last matches, they're not gonna put the pressure on Tank. They're not going to put the pressure on Tio, who you actually dissed about his last fight, which I do agree he fought a better person than Tio did. Yeah. But still, you dissed Tio about his last fight. Ryan Garcia, who says you're boring. Everybody who says they don't want to fight you, Pitbull says they want to fight you because you're boring. You just gave them more ammunition on reasons why not to fight you. And the fans aren't going to fight for you. Yeah. If you put on a better performance and let your hands go, took a little bit more risk. I ain't saying go crazy because he's right about this. If you lose, the fans aren't even going to be more crazy on you. You know what I mean? So I agree. I'm the biggest Shakur Stevenson fan, but you have to step on the gas at some point. And the last two fights have not been great.
No, they have not. If Shakur re-signed with Top Rank, I guarantee you, they would have never showed the fans leaving. That's kind of what that's why I brought.
So you think they made a call to say show that to ESPN? They think they made a call?
Gary, Gary, in my opinion, there was probably some shot callers there that know of the situation, and they were probably like, people are leaving, bro. Show that shit.
You might be right. Maybe.
But
hey, that's part of in every negotiation. Like, even in other sports, like especially in football right now, you have with my team, my number one wide receiver. He says it's a dirty game. You know, you're trying to get a contract, you're trying to leverage things. That's the other thing you need to think about in the back of your head. This is my last fight on this contract. I declined the other contract. I need to put on a performance.
Yeah.
And so you can't say fuck the fans at that point. You can't.
I think he rolled the dice, and it didn't come out good for him, man. It didn't come out good for him. You know?
I mean, I think you still get paid, but it's gonna make it harder.
Yeah.
It's gonna make it harder.
Maybe Eddie Hearn picks him up. Who knows?
But hey, in all negotiation, they're gonna tell you, see, you didn't bring this. These are your numbers. These are this. And then when you go to negotiate with Tank, he's gonna say, well, this is your numbers. He's gonna show on the screen. These are people walking out of your fight. These are the boos. You hear these boos, and you want me to pay you how much?
Yeah. Yeah, the fans leaving like that more than likely cost him millions. Godly.
I agree, he probably did.
Golly, that camera.
In more than one way,
Gary.
Though. In more than one way, though, it cost the money.
Gary, that camera just doing this and then doing this, Gary.
But I don't think it's just
look at me, Gary. $3 million discount, $2 million discount right there.
But I don't think it's just that, though. I think you guys are putting too much on just the fans leaving, because we heard the boos the last two fights. We've seen the criticism, the comments. You're going to see the Twitter comments. If you think they're not going to show that, and they're going to look at your numbers that you did. What numbers did you do? They're going to look at, like, man, people killed you your last fight. And now this fight, they killed you again. People say they don't want to see you.
Shakur Stevenson needs to change his mentality. Needs to be more aggressive with a guy like this that can't really hurt him, right? He needs to put his foot on the gas and get guys like this out of there. And he just needs to overall change his mentality the way Terrence Crawford should have done years ago, to be more marketable, right? To be more marketable.
Now, what I will say about the difference between Shakur Stevenson and Bud, Shakur Stevenson actually engages with his fans on Twitter. That's why they call him Twitter. I forgot what they call him, Twitter son or something like that, or something like they mess with him because he's always on Twitter. He's more engaging with his fans than Bud was. Bud was more quiet. Bud didn't really engage in things of that nature, and he talks shit. He goes on podcasts and all that. But when it's time to fight, like even Mayweather, first of all, Mayweather early in his career was a beast, as far as beating people up in action. Later in his career, when his hands got messed up, he got a little older. He went to a higher division where it was bigger guys. He became more defensively sound. But but even then, when he started knowing that he was levels above somebody, you start seeing him putting the shots together more. You start seeing him put his hands more. And so, I mean, I don't remember too many times I heard Mayweather actually getting booed. I think the Pacquiao fight.
Only when there's no action. The fans are going to boo when there's not a lot of action.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't remember too many times that he got booed. As much as people say he ran and everything, can you remember too many times? I think just the Pacquiao fight. I can't really even remember any other fight. Canelo fight, he didn't get booed. He was putting a lesson on Canelo on that.
Yeah.
And
Shakur is a special fighter to boxing fans like us. I enjoyed this fight, but his style is not casual friendly. I like watching him fight too. I just do think you need to be casual friendly. If you really want to be, most of the time, if you really want to be super successful, unless you're like so amazing, right? Or like flashy, or you're just a knockout artist or something like that. But that makes you kind of fan friendly and casual friendly. Shakur puts his hands together when he jabs. He stopped jabbing. I have no idea why.
And I will agree with him on that. I was watching the fight and I'm like, dope, he's not jabbing at all. And it's just crazy to me because he's in a camp with Bud. Yeah. And you've seen what Bud did to Errol with the jab. You've seen what Bud does with the jab, lightning quick jab and things. And I hate when fighters go away from the jab, because I think the jab is so
Yeah.
underutilized, and people don't understand how great a jab is.
He also
Like the
mentioned he
jab
wants
is
to,
like kind of like almost the best weapon to me
yeah.
in
He also
boxing.
he also mentioned he wanted to work on cutting off the ring a bit more. I think he went away from the jab probably because he was trying too hard, like you mentioned earlier, to entertain. He was probably trying to knock the guy out. But he mentioned, he was moving around a lot, and the guy was Artem was moving around a bit, and he mentioned he needs to cut off the ring better. But like you said, I think he needs to stick with the jab, stick with his boxing. He'll eventually get people out of there. He shouldn't be looking for the knockout that hard because then I don't think it's going to present itself.
Yeah. No, like they say, don't look for it, let it come to you.
Yeah.
But I do. But the reason why I say with the jab is because even if I'm just touching with the jab, it's not a knockout punch. But let me say I beat up your eye so bad with the jab that it starts to swell. Your vision starts to get off a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can start catching you with shots that you can't see.
Or you blind people with it. Sometimes
Yeah.
you could blind people with it. Yeah, man. But anyway, I mean, we've been on this over an hour. I think we've touched on every subject. I'm still, I feel like going to the bathroom and throwing up for Oshaki Foster. I'm still disgusted. But if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, join the channel, just $9.99 a month. We'd greatly appreciate your help in building the channel and also building a full-fledged kickboxing promotion. That's the only way you can watch Fighters Rep 25 and 26. You either got to buy your tickets at FightersRep.com or join the channel, and you'll be able to get to watch these amazing fights coming up September 7th and September 21st. Fighters Rep 25 in Los Angeles, Fighters Rep 26 down here in Pompano Beach, South Florida. Gary, that's pretty much all we have for the Knuckleheads this evening. Wow, man, what a crazy night. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to dropping some more videos with you this coming week.
I appreciate y'all. Everybody who's looking at it, we appreciate you too. We got more content. We're trying to pump out more. We're trying to do more.
Yeah. So stick with us, and we appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
All right.